Little Red Riding Hood was never really about the wolf. It was about the moment you feel something is wrong and stay anyway. As children, we were told this was a warning. Do not leave the path. Do not talk to strangers. Do not trust the wolf. But fairy tales were not made only for children. They were dark mirrors. And when you look into this one as an adult, you do not only see a girl in a red hood. You see the part of yourself that ignored the first warning inside your body. The part that smiled when you wanted to leave. The part that answered questions that felt too personal. The part that stayed polite while something in you was already whispering, "This is not safe." The wolf is not frightening because he has teeth. He is frightening because he does not show them at first. He begins with attention, with a soft voice, with simple questions, with the kind of interest that almost feels harmless. Where are you going? Who are you visiting? What are you carrying? These are not just questions, they are openings. Every answer gives him a little more access. Every detail brings him closer to the place she was trying to protect. And maybe this is why the story still hurts. Because in adult life, the wolf rarely arrives looking like a monster. Sometimes the wolf is charming, sometimes the wolf is wounded. Sometimes the wolf says exactly what you needed to hear. Sometimes the wolf makes your caution feel cruel. And when you have spent your life trying to be kind, it can be hard to tell the difference between compassion and surrender. Little Red Riding Hood walks through the forest carrying care, a basket, food, tenderness, a small act of love. She is not foolish, she is open, and openness is beautiful, but openness without boundaries becomes a door. This is the pain beneath the fairy tale. Not that a child met a wolf, but that many adults still do not know how to close the door when danger speaks softly. They feel the tightness in their chest, but call it anxiety. They feel the wish to leave, but call it overreacting. They feel their body pulling back, but call it guilt. Because some people were taught so deeply to be polite that they mistake discomfort for rudeness. They think a boundary is an insult. They think silence is cruelty. They think leaving is betrayal. So they stay. They keep listening. They keep explaining. They keep giving the wolf one more chance to sound human. The forest does not disappear when we grow up. It only changes shape. Sometimes it becomes a relationship. Sometimes it becomes a workplace. Sometimes it becomes a friendship that takes too much. Sometimes it becomes a family room where everyone smiles. But your body is tense. The forest is any place where your instincts speak, and your conditioning tells you to ignore them. That is why the grandmother's house is so important. The real horror is not that the wolf waits in the woods. The real horror is that he reaches the safe place first. He enters the home. He lies in the bed. He wears the shape of someone trusted. By the time Little Red Riding Hood arrives, danger no longer looks strange. It looks familiar. And this is what happens in adult life too. Sometimes the most dangerous thing is not the person who feels obviously unsafe. It is the person who has already been allowed inside your routine, inside your trust, inside your need to be loved, inside the part of you that still wants to believe the best. She notices. That is the part people forget. She sees the ears, the eyes, the hands, the teeth. Something is wrong, her body knows, but knowing is not always enough to leave, because when the truth is too frightening, the mind tries to negotiate with it. Maybe I am imagining it. Maybe I am too sensitive. Maybe they did not mean it. Maybe I should not make this awkward. Maybe I should ask one more question. And so she asks, what big ears you have. What big eyes you have. What big hands you have. What big teeth you have. This is not stupidity. This is the sound of someone trying to understand danger before they give themselves permission to escape it. Many adults know this moment, the moment when you already knew, but you waited for proof, the moment when your body had already said no, but your mouth kept being kind, the moment when leaving would have saved you, but staying felt more acceptable. That is the adult wound inside Little Red Riding Hood, not innocence, self-abandonment, the slow betrayal of your own fear, the habit of explaining away the teeth, because the voice still sounds gentle. And maybe the old versions of the story wanted to ask, why did she leave the path? But the deeper question is, why do we teach people to doubt the part of them that already knows? Why do so many adults feel guilty for protecting themselves? Why does saying no feel like violence when silence is what keeps hurting them? Why do we call our discomfort dramatic until the wolf is already in the room? Little Red Riding Hood was never just about danger. It was about recognition, recognizing the voice that asks for too much too soon, recognizing the smile that makes your body tighten, recognizing the kindness that is only a costume, recognizing that fear is not always weakness. Sometimes fear is the last honest thing inside you, and healing does not mean becoming cold. It does not mean seeing wolves everywhere. It does not mean losing your softness. Healing means your softness no longer has to be unguarded. Your kindness can have a boundary. Your empathy can have a locked door. Your trust can take its time. Your body is allowed to be believed before your mind can explain everything. You are allowed to leave when something feels wrong. You are allowed to stop answering. You are allowed to disappoint someone who benefits from your silence. You are allowed to protect the part of you that used to stay because it did not know it could run. Little Red Riding Hood was never really about the wolf. It was about the adult pain of staying too long with something that already felt wrong. It was about the cost of politeness when your body is begging you to listen. And maybe the real ending is not that someone comes to save the girl. Maybe the real ending begins years later when she walks back into the forest, hears a soft voice calling from the shadows, feels the old fear rise in her chest, and this time she trusts it. This time she turns around. This time she does not answer.